do we expect y'all to be, something that we're not. We expect you guys to be so patient and have to always explain things. I feel like there's a lot of pressure being you guys. I feel like Hellspawn, man, you got to do a lot of explaining. Like you're a politician, dog. Sometimes you probably can't even be yourself because you may not want to go into all the backstory and explain to people.
Kind of happened today. So listen, the first thing you need to understand as a fan of something, if you are a fan of a specific like path within comics or something, as a true fan, you have to accept that people are going to be fans of other things because you want people to accept you for your fandom. So that should be in turn a two-way street. Okay. Let's just say you go back to your first example. If my son wants to go straight DC and I'm a Marvel guy, I can appreciate what kind of stories DC can tell and the kind of characters they have. But they just don't work for me because I can't relate to them on that level. I relate to characters that are people before they're gods. That's the whole point of Marvel, is like they are regular people thrown into extraordinary situations. Whereas DC has characters that are gods that are put into situations where they have to learn how to be human. Who wants to learn how to be fucking, So I can accept that he may resonate with that on some level, and same thing with anybody else. You can't gatekeep having a fandom or being a fan of something. You really just have to say, all right, that's for you, that's for them, that's not for me. And then you be able to like vibe together as some geeked out fans to go see a movie. Like what's the, it shouldn't be that serious.
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready? Nope. For a long journey where our podcast released a new epi, searching for a fade fiend, new fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones, they gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, tap some friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talking with Demetrious.
All right, welcome in everyone. Episode 138. Dying to Wear It with our guest Demetrious Holt, and then we got a co-host, first time ever, Michael Washington. Gentlemen, what's that day look like for y'all? Has it been a good one?
It's been a day, yeah.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah,
I understand. We for those who don't know, we're filming this in the evening time frame, so we done been through a whole day, but we gonna flash through and get to it. So, Hellspawn. I just want to start there. Where did that come from? What's the story behind Hellspawn?
Favorite comic book character is Spawn. He's the only one I've got tattooed on me. But when it came to the actual cosplay name, I didn't know I needed one. There's when I first got into cosplay, it was just something to do after my divorce. And I was transitioning from bodybuilding to cosplay as far as a hobby, and I was told that I needed to get a separate Instagram name, and then I needed to get like a whole new page and all this other stuff. And I'm like, for what? And come to find out, there's a whole community of cosplayers, and what cosplayers, it's building on your name and your reputation, and the quality of your work, and also it's like a mini business, if not a large business itself. And your name could mean everything. So my deal was, if I'm going to be having a name that's embodying anything that I do as far as my work, I want it to be at the top tier. So. And then you mix that with a love of Spawn. I need to have cosplays that look like I made a deal with the devil. So, all right, let's have the cosplays be Hellspawn cosplay. All right, cool. Yeah, that works. And then And then at first it was like alliteration. Hellspawn has a Spawn cosplay. So and that's what just silly stuff that you just say inside your head that you don't say out loud because it sounds dumb.
No, you got that, bro, and I get it. I understand that. There's so many questions I have for that. I want to get to the background. I normally am not too anxious because I always feel like in my podcast that is a great base of it all. But bro, we got to move forward. We're gonna get to this cosplay, and I know a lot of people want to get to that. But let's take it back for a little bit. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up at?
PG County, Maryland, Clinton, to be specific. And yeah, I can't call myself a military brat because my parents stopped moving after I was 2 years old. I was born in Portugal. And so on Lodges Airfield Base, because my parents are Air Force. And then, been in the same house from 1986 until I moved out for college. Went to North Carolina A&T, was a mechanical engineering major. And then,
Aggies.
Yeah, Aggie Pride. I was there on an Air Force scholarship. Failed 2 classes and failed a physical fitness test because I got sick because I just could not run that 1.5 miles like I needed to. Yeah. And so I basically lost my scholarship after my sophomore year, and I had to come back home and pay back the government that $18,393.74. And that's a number that sticks with you.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no interest though, right? For the listeners, there was no interest, right?
There was there was not, but it was still a $600 note every month. So I was working 2 jobs. I was working as an electrician. I was working at Red Lobster as a server. So I was hustling, to get that stuff paid off. And then my dad's an electrician, and I've been going on jobs with him since I was like 4 or 5 years old. And I was going on jobs with him when I came back from school, and I got into law enforcement. So I was at Capitol Police, I was at Pentagon Police for a bit, and then I started doing private security, and then federal security, because there was more money in it. And then my dad and my mom started a electrical subcontracting firm themselves, and then they got a couple of jobs that they were managing, like basically 25 to 30 people just between the two of them. They couldn't do it, so they asked me to quit my jobs to come work for them. And I've been working for my parents since July of 2014. So I've been there for almost 10 years now. And
wait a minute, man. Wait. So you don't get to skip work like the rest of us because they know where you live, they know what you're about, they know these lies you be giving. Nah, I can't come in today, bro. You don't get away with that.
No, I go to work every day. And it's to the point where we don't know what day is a holiday anymore unless it's like unless it's like Juneteenth or Christmas or something like what's President's Day? What's that? Or we don't pay attention to that. So yeah, work every day, 6 to 2, go down to Clinton, back to my parents' house because I moved. Well, back to 2014 and 2015, like I bought a house near Baltimore, and I've been here since 2015. And so I make that commute every day unless we have like a contract or a job or whatnot. And then about 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, made a mistake that wasn't a mistake because it resulted in my son. So I have like this pride and joy that I just can't get over in my son. And so like right now, everything that I'm doing was when it comes to like cosplay. Yeah, cosplay was a whole thing, and now it's still a thing, but I've transitioned into producing and now fulfilling executive roles for like Blurred Station. I am the founder of Blurred and Powerful, which is a organization aimed to promote Black-owned comic book conventions, as well as the emotional and mental well-being of Black nerds. And like everything that I do now is just about what can I do for the community? Like how much can we do? What can we do? How can we uplift? Basically doing the good work that making the good trouble that our late John Lewis, asked us to do. So, if we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, then we need to make those dreams come true. So got to get that work in.
I always like to get this just to build a base for everybody, as I said earlier. So bear with me. You might even have brown bagged it, but You're in the lunch cafeteria, senior year of high school. You go in that lunch line, you walk out of there with something that you know you're going to regret by 7th period, but it's on your tray. What table was you sitting at, bruh?
Damn. Oh well, you said it was senior year.
Yep, senior year.
Senior year,
Assuming we all got it together by then.
Shit, senior year, I was gone halfway through the day. I had enough credits because I was working at Toys R Us, right then and there. So, yeah. Damn. No. So, like, what table am I sitting at? As far as I'm probably.
What was that clique?
My clique was the library kids. I was.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I might have been playing football and and ROTC and all that stuff, but like my friends, like my like friends to this day, that's in my group chat. With Mike is, we were playing Counter-Strike in the library, or looking at we were watching Naruto back then. Yeah, we were torrents and stuff back then too. So like I was there. That was my crew, was the Tekken and the Devil May Cry and the Ninja Scroll and the Guyver. Like that was my maturation. 2002. That was when I learned a lot. Yeah.
You live in a very diverse part of town. For our listeners, those who don't know, there are an amazing amount of financially settled, successful Black Americans over where this gentleman is from. So I'm just kind of curious. Some of us grew up in places where, in my case, I was the only Black skater in my school, in my city. And I always kept hearing about this other Black skater when I lived down in Virginia Beach. And I finally ran into him one day. And when I saw him and he saw me, we was like, yo, son, I keep hearing about you. I keep hearing about you. That guy, you may know him as Skateboard P. That was Pharrell. And that was us in our time together in Virginia Beach. So I know what that felt like for me. But what was it like for you? Already, it sounds like at that point, you already knew you was a Blurred. And sometimes if you don't know, everyone will tell you. Mm-hmm. But what was that like? What was your circle like? Did you have a community?
No, so I got all of my bullying happened in the 2nd and 3rd grade. My cards, my Marvel Fleer and Flare cards from 93 and 94, they were stolen out of my locker and all that stuff. My mom had to come to school and be like, listen, those cards need to be back here by tomorrow. I'm whooping somebody's ass. And the cards were back. So it was so yeah, like my all of my bullying and all of my fights, that happened in the 2nd and 3rd grade. And then there was this one fight that I had in the 7th grade that defined everything from that point moving forward. That's when I got my first pair of Jordans, started wearing some urban wear. I'm like, okay, well, I'm no longer the one that y'all gonna just like abuse out here. So, but no, my clique, my crew, my circle had always changed to the point where I was never truly comfortable with anybody. I was a floater. I did have friends in the neighborhood that played Halo. Some of them are in the group chat. Everyone else that was like you say ROTC or sports related, I would see them. I would work out with them. But then I would just always transition or go to work. I had work friends. I was never locked down into one particular like crew, and that made me almost a chameleon to the point where it took a while for me to come into my own and be who I truly wanted to be. But then at the same time, I was a man whore, so I was never really myself because I was changing myself for each of the women that I was dealing with. So my true identity was always there as like somewhat of an asshole, but being okay with that and not hating myself or hating other people for not liking me for what I was presenting, because I didn't know what I was presenting. All that stuff kind of like went away after my divorce. You know, like my ex-wife was the sort where she wanted to be, or she was, of like the DMV template. You know, the DMV template in this area is, you know, you go to day parties, you go to wine festivals, you know, spend most of your time asking people what they do, as opposed to, you know, like what do they have, what do they do for fun, you know, and like it's all about status. And you know, I kind of hated that, you know, because that's where all these people just want to be seen. They're models, or you know, the socialites or whatever. They're fake people at the end of the day. Like, you don't care about this mansion party for breast cancer. You just want to be here because you want to know who might have the next ticket to the next party for you to go to. So
Yeah.
I was in that world for a while. And then when the divorce came, and finally, you know, was able to refinance and, you know, get her off the mortgage, and, you know, the house was in my own name and all that stuff now, and started like cosplaying. Like I just was just doing characters that made me feel like I was supposed to be that character, like whether it be Kratos or Sub-Zero, or, you know, like the early ones were like, you know, I was like B.A. Baracus for a while. So it was definitely freeing, and it allowed me to just really settle into myself. And like, I was like 33 years old, 34, you know, before I really just like settled into that. And then, yeah, like now, you know, my crew are those who I see online most of the time. Because I'm either working or with my son all the time. And, you know, those are the breaks when you're close to 40. So we can do.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
He said that he did a little bodybuilding, and so I'm just kind of curious. Do you think because of his stature and what he built up, maybe the jokes stopped? As I alluded to earlier, sometimes in our culture, our friends, our cousins, our family, they wanna come at us, but when he's putting up all that weight and he's looking the way he's looking, you think they backed off, or
Probably. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The added weight does help with that sort of thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a little bit more intimidation.
Mike, do you think though the bigger he got, the less variety of cosplay he could do? Like if we know someone to be a slimmer, slender guy, there's a couple times when he had to be like, nah, I ain't gonna do that one.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, answer that question.
Well, I guess when it comes down to cosplay in general, depending on your physicality, you can embody that character more. But I do think it depends on the energy you bring to it as well. So not everybody looks the part of, you know, but if they have that energy that they bring to it, the posing, everything, you can still embody that character.
See, this is all, man. I appreciate y'all, man.
And see, the thing is with my cosplay, I cosplay characters that have an overall theme to them.
Yeah.
You know, like in that, because there was this one episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right, where there was a magical spell that whatever you were wearing for like Halloween that year or something or other, that's the characteristics, or that's the character that you were stuck as forever. Yeah. So in my mind, if that was to ever happen, then every character that I cosplay as would be under a category of overwhelming power. So I'll never get stuck, except for the few times I cosplay for my son. So I was like the Cat in the Hat, or
we need you to get stuck then.
Yeah, that was bullshit. You know,
that's the time.
But yeah, like all the different characters I've ever really truly cosplayed or put like oomph behind, you know, I would be good if I got stuck as them. So that's just something in the back of my mind. And yeah, like you can, I mean, just for, you know, for real, everybody, like cosplay is for everybody. All right. Gotta say that cosplay is for everybody. Can everybody cosplay? That's dependent upon them. You know, you gotta step outside of yourself in order to embody a character, because you know you got people wear Zentai costumes or Zentai suits all the time, or spandex suits, and okay, cool. What about you makes you special? You know what I mean? Or sets you apart from other like Nightwing cosplayers or Robin cosplayers. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like what sets
Yeah.
you apart? And a lot of people just feel like they're putting the costume on is enough when you have people like Mike or myself that take it to the full 9 yards, you know, and really like dig in deep and do all like the extra stuff. And because that's art to us. That's what makes
Yep.
it fun, you know. Like Mike would be able to tell you every one of his cosplays has something lore related to it, which that not only does that scream he's a fan, but it also screams an attention to detail that other people just don't have. So Mike definitely very talented in this, and the fact that he's making his own stuff, or you know, whether it be 3D printing or even like figuring out the wigs, you know, I mean, like he's doing
Oh,
what he's
the
supposed to be
wigs.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah, the wigs are interesting. But
Mhm.
yeah, I want to bring something up over here. I was writing a little bit, and I want
Mhm.
to say I ran across Demetrious probably I think it was in 2018. Um, One of my first cosplays I went to where I dressed up, I was dressed up as Spider-Man. I met him there, and he was dressed as He-Man, and he
Ooh.
was probably like the first person who I actually met at these cons. So it was like
Yeah.
that was my gateway into kind of exploring the area and whatnot. And at the time, I was not as much into like being as creative with my cosplays. I was doing a lot of edits. So I was doing edits for people. I did a few edits for him when it came to his He-Man, and that's how I was networking a bit more and getting the lay of the land. It was
Yeah.
only when I started to work on my Wolverine cosplay. That's when it was like a light went off. Like, oh, you're working on your Wolverine. He had a Cyclops, so that's
Oh,
where a lot of our networking and stuff came in when it came to cosplay.
Mhm.
gentlemen, I think we're going to have some listeners who don't know much, and you'll have to excuse me for asking some of the things that's common knowledge to you guys. But I'm curious, specific characters. You guys kind of mentioned that before. Um, when you're doing cosplay, does it ever, I don't want to say get confrontational, but does it get awkward when someone has exactly the same idea as you? And I remember Hellspawn, you said one thing. It's about, okay, well, what makes you different? But let's just say game recognized game. This kid is kind of nice with it. He
Yeah.
might be acrobatic and
Mhm.
he's landing his stuff. He ain't like halfway getting this flip. He must have had a gymnastics background because this brother is nailing it. So
Mhm.
now you're kind of like, well, hold on, man. I mean, I know I'm nice with it too. Does that ever get confrontational, or in you guys' experiences? Hellspawn, I'd like to start with you. Does it get
Oh.
complimentary? Because at the end of the day, we're all people. We're not robots, and sometimes we're competitive.
Okay.
Some are jealous.
All right. Let me. So the thing that you learn about the cosplay community is that the cosplay community has some of the most emotionally immature people in involved, and it's not always their fault. There has been some level of abuse, there's been some level of neglect.
Yeah.
Cosplay is one of those hobbies where people escape from their real lives in
Oh
order
yeah.
to, you know, in order to survive. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people in
Yeah.
survival mode. Okay. um Trauma is a bitch, it is. And a lot of these people that are in it, you know, whether they were bullied when they were younger because of their fandoms, or, you know, they didn't really know how to process it well or whatnot, they dive into these fantasy characters and they feel a certain way that that I want to say normal people, but people who have not had those same experiences,
Yeah.
um, they just have like a really hard time adjusting, right? So for my black ass to come into this thing and and to be able to have a fun high school experience, and to have a fun college experience, and to have a fun post-college experience. I come into this entire situation and I am amazed at how many people are still stunted in their 8th grade, being bullied, personas. Like, these people are in their mid-30s, but then yet it's always about whatever happened in high school, like they're going to be better than that. I mean, like, that's where they peaked, and then they didn't even peak because they were bullied. So, okay. So, as someone who didn't have the same experiences as them comes into their world the way that I did, I'm not a real geek. I'm not a real, blur. I'm not a real, nerd or whatever. I am a model that's just trying to find something to do, because I couldn't make it in like New York or Hollywood. Like, I've heard that before or something like that. Like, I'm like, I'm flattered that y'all think that highly of me, but that's not what's happening. And then I had to start doing interviews in my studio here for people to believe that I've been collecting this stuff since I was like 5, and that I've known what I know, and I do what I do well because of my knowledge. But to answer your question, there is a level of competitiveness that they don't want to admit to, because as soon as you admit that there is competition, and you're not where you think you should be, and someone is further along than you, then you have to admit that you're a loser. And there's a lot of people who don't want to do that. So I came into cosplay. I thought it was a good time. I didn't know it was a community. I got introduced to a bunch of groups really quickly. And 14 months in, I do He-Man, and then things change. Like, people that I thought were cool weren't. I've got pictures of these people inside my house because I threw parties back in the day, and every picture that I have with some folks are pictures of my enemies now. Like, when I say enemies, like in the group chat, we call them the Legion of Doom, because they are costumed villains, that and like, it's just it's maddening. It's something that doesn't have to be a certain way, but they choose to make it a certain way, and then they lose. There's a lot of people that were trying to run me out of the community because they didn't like me, because I shot through some sort of glass ceiling, where they have been cosplaying for 5-10 years and still don't have a certain type of notoriety, whether it be just the number of followers on Instagram. And here I am 14 months in, 16 months in, 2 years in, and I can pull together, Kickstarters that pull $20,000 when I was only asking for $1,000, or like, I can actually, like, go to like Men's Health magazine and have an article in there. Like, there's real change that I'm affecting, and they wish that they could be in my position. So when you talk about like competition, it's not just, are you wearing the same character, or are you the same character? It's how well are you doing within the community. And that's why I said that's what I said about Mike. Mike is putting himself in a position to be one of those, I want him at my photo shoot type deals. Like, he's putting the work in, he's paying his dues. And hell, I didn't know there was dues to pay. I just thought it was just you just doing the thing. But yeah, like, these folks, competition is something that they don't want. It's something that they crave, but then it's something that they can't handle either. So, I had to really find my own tribe where I could really poke fun with and have a good time, and like really have some iron sharpen iron moments.
That led me to what I thought I knew. Supposedly there was the golden rule of cosplay. For those who don't know, gentlemen, tell me if I'm correct. Cosplay is not consent as the golden rule. And that's a popular phrase in the community, meaning that attending an event or wearing a certain outfit does not mean people can act however they want towards cosplayers. Does that sound like a either written, unwritten?
No, there's signs now. Yeah, there's signs.
It's written.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's been a lot of issues that come up in the community once in a while where cosplayers will grope other cosplayers. They would think because you look a certain way, they can kind of just run up on you and touch you or just pick you up in the air. It can be crazy sometimes.
Either that or take pictures of you without them asking you. You
Hmm.
know, it's just there's a lot of creeps in the cosplay community or in the geek communities, and yeesh, yeah, I got a video of me, telling one to move along. You know what I mean? Like it's a thing.
I feel like that's in a lot of different places. I like to term it. They don't have a high social IQ. And I'm not
No.
going to say it's just this community. I'm in a lot of different communities. I teach Latin dance. Even some things. I'm a youth coach. Heck, I was just doing that before we got here. And some parents don't have a high social IQ. They don't realize you're making it uncomfortable for other parents. You're making the game bad for the kids. So I like to just blame it on that.
Don't get me started.
I want to touch on something a bit since we were.
What's that, Mike?
I want to touch on something a bit since we were talking about the competition. Now I know Demetrious told me once before don't say this, but I enjoy it. I do look at it as a very competitive thing. They actually have costume contests. So for me, I um I always enjoy learning from different people. So I always like to see what different people have done. A lot of times if I approach a cosplay, I'm always looking like, oh, hey, did you 3D print this? Or sometimes you can recognize where an item was purchased from.
Okay.
I'm always open of telling people different things of where I got my things from. Um, so in a way, I'm always looking to how can I improve myself next time you see me, and I'm always complimenting people as well. I To me, funny enough, I even mentioned it when I broke out one of a few of my latest stuff last year. I mentioned to a few of them in one of the groups I'm in. I've been observing people for a while because I didn't want to look just like them in certain
Right.
ways. I want to make sure I brought in something different, or the different action stuff I took with my characters. Acknowledged what they did, but I wanted to do my own thing too, and that's been my whole route so far. So I kind of get a little secret squirrel sometimes because I don't want people to know exactly what I'm doing, and then I'll
Yep.
bust out with it later. But I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing you know what, just a nerd out moment. It's kind of like how in Dragon Ball Z, you'll go away for like a time skip, you come back and you're wondering what's the latest attack someone has. So they're like, oh, it's a secret. Then you see them bust out a new move. Like
Yeah.
I'm always wondering to see what they're gonna bring next to the table.
And I'm on the other side of the spectrum, whereas I'll let you know what I'm doing.
Oh,
Can you
what?
whoop my ass? Like, can you beat me? Can you match me? Like that's I'm
Right.
saying, like, do it. Do what I'm doing. I welcome you to try. But that's the thing, folks, when you are openly confrontational like I am, like we used to call Mike the pacifist. You know what I mean?
I
Like
still
That
am.
sounds right. That sounds right.
like we understand that he would take the road of least resistance. That's cool. Me on the other hand, I welcome trouble, but again, that's me. So I've had to learn a lot of lessons when it comes to how competitions and how things are ran within this community, because when you have a certain type of like mentality about yourself and you make people uncomfortable when you walk into a room, um because you're confident within yourself, it's immediately threatening to them. So
Yeah.
knowing that you're not going to diminish or your light for someone else, this community kind of begs you to just continuing to be better than where you were before, or just to set yourself apart or lead the way. There's no shortage of leaders. I mean, there's no shortage of followers, but as far as leaders in this community, they don't know what that looks like. So, like you said,
Tell
people like
Spawn.
Mike. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No. I'm just anxious to get in. Sorry.
No, I'm saying people like Mike, y'all, he's smart. At the same time, I would just put my dick on the table and be like, can you beat me? Because he's in a group full of Wolverines.
Yeah.
Like he's in a group full of Wolverines, and
There's 500.
Right. But see, this thing, I haven't seen one person cosplay as He-Man since I did it. I haven't seen, and like the only other person who cosplays as Sub-Zero that I feel like is one of my best friends. You know what I mean? He's my Green Ranger. Like I'd rather run with these people as opposed to against them, but they can't get that through their heads. You know what I mean? Like we can be stronger and better together. Like isn't that a Spider-Man thing? Like what the fuck? Like people don't learn the lessons that they are being taught every single day.
Nah.
Like Mike and I have taken plenty of pictures together. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to get cultural. I've got a great diversity of listeners, but at the end of the day, I got experiences, and I am what I am, and I want to talk about my experiences and y'all's experiences. But I think we all learn from this. That aside, we're gonna talk about it anyway. Hell, Spawn. I know you're in the barbershop, dog. Your barber might follow you on IG or something. They done seen some things. It comes up. You're in a barbershop. And there are a lot of brothers that in that barbershop and they're like, hey man, you can't, nah, son, you can't be doing that. Like that comes up. So it's a two-part question. Why do some people feel the need to tell you what you can't do? And then why are you in such a good place, self-esteem wise, confidence level, that you just don't care because you're doing you?
Well, for one, it's when I first got started, I did hear, man, that shit is gay. You know what I mean? Like as far as like, this dude I hear running around with an S on his chest, thinking that he's somebody like I've gotten that right from my own folks. But what's undeniable is what I've been able to do with it. Like I've got 2 action figures over there that were made in my image. Oh, wait. Here's one of them right here. You know what I mean? Like I've got action figures. I'm on comic book covers. You know what I mean? Like like this, like characters within the He-Man universe are made in my image. I've been able to, do good in the community. I speak at, Boys and Girls Clubs or, Boy Scouts, of America type situation. I go to Bowie State University or other HBCUs and speak about diversity within mainstream media. Like I get paid to talk next to professors from Howard University or Bowie State. Like you can think what I'm doing is silly or gay or whatever, but the impact that I'm making is impacting your kids to the point where your kids are fans of mine. So you can be upset that I'm doing something that you wouldn't do, but it's not something that you wouldn't do. It's something that you can't do. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what propels my ego to the point where I got to do the thing because there's people out there that would really tear me down and have tried to tear me down because they're incapable of doing it themselves. You know what I mean? So when it comes to being cultural, like that was what it was when I first got started. Now I can go to a random LA Fitness halfway down the Beltway and get on the Stairmaster and someone next to me just like, you do cosplay, don't you? Like, I think I know you. Like, I'm a meme. I was the whole thing with, Halle Bailey, being the black
mermaid,
Little Mermaid.
Yep.
Yeah. When they started putting those memes together, it's like, they complaining about, the Little Mermaid. We'll start making them black, this black or make that black. Who's the black He-Man? Who's the one that can be Googled black He-Man? Me. So, you can say whatever you want, but the accomplishments are on the wall, and I can still create more avenues for more accomplishments, which is what I'm doing. It's not just internet based, it's real world activities that we are doing to help people. So again, You can be mad at what I'm doing. You can be upset. At the end of the day, there are people calling my phone for help, and they're not calling you for anything.
Yeah. Okay. Relationships. Now, y'all get the stereotype. The stereotype is, oh, I know he ain't getting no trim. We're gonna come back to that. We gonna come back to that. But I want to do this first before we get to that. Before we attack what everybody thinks is not happening for you guys, let's start with this. The happy ending. Y'all got a girl. Y'all met this girl before she knows about your world. Yo, man. As soon as she finds out, she says, "Oh no, we can't. You can't be doing that." I'm a motorcycle rider. I'm a biker boy through and through. Mm-hmm. I'm with this lady for 14 years. I'm with right now. Third date, I didn't even tell her. She knew we was going out. I showed up on the bike, the Harley. Now they come out. They got their hair done. They got their makeup done. You give a girl a helmet, you about to find out if she a real one or not, because that helmet's got to go on. It's messing up the hair. It's messing up the makeup. She took it, put it on. We still together to this day. But I know a lot of dudes I ride with. As soon as they get a girl or get married, that bike got to go. And they ain't seen that bike in over a decade. Hell Spawn, let's start with you. I know it happens, man. How many dudes got to put the cosplay down for some lady? Or vice versa. There's ladies that got to put dudes down. But I'm talking to two gentlemen right now. You know, let's say you about that.
Me, like, as far like my only experience is there was one woman that I was dating back in 2005, 2006, you know, and she wanted me to sell all of my toys and stop playing video games and whatnot. Like I was like, damn, you gotta go. you for the streets, you ain't for me. You know, and that was the 7th grade sweetheart. That was the one I went back for. I was like, you know, we grown now, you know, let's make this happen. And she told me that. I was like, damn.
Wait, that was the Ice Cube lyric girl. Finally got a call from this girl I want to dig out. That one, you got her?
I got her, and then I had to let her go.
Yeah, you got released, catch and release.
Couldn't keep that one. So, but to answer your question, you know, the people who are in this community, they be fucking. They do, you know, and it's to their detriment because they don't know how to handle it. You know, they get a little bit of sex appeal when they grow up or whatever. And something, again, you go back to, you know, high school and they were overlooked. Yeah. And like, they just, that shit just goes to their head. And then as far as the guys are concerned, you know, the guys, they do all right from what I understand. You know, I don't really be in too many people's businesses, but, you know, there's enough drama for people to be dating to know that, okay, well, at least somebody's stroking something. You know, and it's you know, and at least it's consensual. That's the main thing you'd be worried about. Is it consensual? Because, but no, like once you're in this community, you find your tribe one way or another. And if you don't, then that means that you're truly the weirdo.
Oh, yeah. I never really thought of it like that.
You can't like if you're a bike enthusiast and nobody wants to fuck with you, nobody wants to ride with you nowhere. like you gotta, right? Yeah. I mean, because I've been in car clubs, you know, and if at least I've been in one car club. You can't really like jump from club to club. That ain't working. But yeah, like, you know, if nobody wants to ride with you nowhere, there's something wrong with you.
Mike, how many times if you had $1 for every time somebody's like a comment, maybe not just the lady you're interested in, but like, you know, a work associate, somebody you find out, and then as soon as they hear and they're like, nah, man, we can't be doing this. We can't go back to your spot. What say you, Mike?
Well, funny enough, I actually have to find a new barber now because my other barber just moved. It was like a bad breakup because he's like too far away for me to go to him now. Before then, I would actually bring stuff into the barbershop. Like if I finished a helmet, because he was a Marvel fan as well. Now, mind you, the one before him, he wasn't. So we were just talking one day, and real talk, this is the last time he cut my hair. He said that Black Panther was demonic. And I was like, yo, all right, next barber.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So a few cheers down. The one guy, he loved everything Marvel, Ninja Turtles, everything. So if I built something, I brought it in, and it was pretty cool because sometimes people brought their kids in there to get something done, and they'll be like, who has that helmet on the chair? And I'm like, that's mine. And then it'll be like a whole conversation. I'll show them some photos. Work, same thing, because the most exciting thing about my work is, the stuff I do outside of work. So I started like a bit of a show and tell type thing where I would bring in artwork and cosplay items. Now the big thing was when I did a music video. 2 years ago, I did I'm the only live action version of the Valiant Comics comic book character Shadow Man. And I did that video in a cemetery. And I was so afraid that my family was gonna like disown me. And when they saw it, they actually were cool with it. So I was happy.
All your cousins were cool with
it. Everybody who saw it, like even my uncle, who's what is it? He's a what are they are? He's a pretty high ranking individual in the church. He was okay with it too, and I was like, oh. Thank goodness, yeah. But in terms of women, it's a toss up because I would date outside the community, and I would bring some of them in if they have if they have an interest in it. But sometimes, and this was actually quite recent, I went on a date. And one thing was brought up was the photos I post. Like, oh, well, you post, it seems like you like too much attention. You're posting with different women. Is there something there? And I'm like, no, that's my friend. Like, she even has an angry face in the photo. Like, oh, I just feel like something's there. So you don't know how it is. Yeah, it's a toss up.
The women in this community suck to a degree because it's just like they suck because of the guys in the community. They've been these women have been tormented by being like quizzed on their fandoms as opposed to just being accepted as like genuine fans. It's the typical thing, like, yo, you're a chick, you can't like the same thing I like, you can't like Dragon Ball Z or any of the bullshit that we like. It's just, you just can't let these people live. And so they end up becoming really resentful people, or they start looking for signs of a relationship when there shouldn't be any. And they take things to the nth level when it's not even supposed to be that serious. So it's like they're looking for their soulmates, but then yet they're traumatized along the way. And it's really hard to navigate these waters because, again, trauma is a bitch. And some folks have really been through some things and they just can't shake it because they refuse to go to therapy. They refuse to admit that they have an issue. And then they start turning that stuff all on you, and you're just trying to vibe. You're just trying to have a good time, and all of a sudden their insecurities become your problems, and you're just like, listen, do not come to me about your stuff because I'll just give you some more insecurities.
I wrote down here that there is a bunch of different paths that you could take. So Hellspawn, you said you got a son. What if your son is like strictly DC? No love for Marvel. Or to that same point, you got a girl and all she knows is DC. She don't know no Marvel. Where do you guys stand when it comes to, at some point, do we expect y'all to be, I'm going to say, something that we're not. We expect you guys to be so patient and have to always explain things. I feel like there's a lot of pressure being you guys. I feel like Hellspawn, man, you gotta do a lot of explaining. Like you're a politician, dog. Sometimes you probably can't even be yourself Because you may not want to go into all the backstory and explain to people.
Kind of happened today. So, but so let's listen. The first thing you need to understand as a fan of something, if you are a fan of a specific like path within comics or something,
yeah,
as a true fan, you have to accept that people are going to be fans of other things because you want people to accept you for your fandom. So that should be in turn a two-way street. Okay. Let's just say you go back to your first example. If my son wants to go straight DC and I'm a Marvel guy, I can appreciate what kind of stories DC can tell and the kind of characters they have, but they just don't work for me because I can't relate to them on that level. I relate to characters that are people before they're gods. That's the whole point of Marvel, is like they are regular people thrown into extraordinary situations, whereas DC has characters that are gods that are put into situations where they have to learn how to be human. Who wants to learn how to be fucking human? So I can accept that he may resonate with that on some level, and same thing with anybody else. You can't gatekeep having a fandom or being a fan of something. You really just have to say, all right, that's for you, that's for them, that's not for me. And then you be able to like vibe together as some geeked out fans to go see a movie. Like, what's the it shouldn't be that serious.
Did you guys appreciate when Black Panther came out and the world stood on its head and had to wear costumes, but some did dive into cosplay? And I know we may have to come back and do a little explanation. For my quick explanation, for those listeners, this is all new. Appreciate y'all listening to this episode, by the way, too, because I know y'all learning something. But a costume is something you can go buy right now and wear tomorrow. A cosplay takes time, effort. You may be building this thing for a year before you can even wear it. How did I do, fellas? Was that a decent explanation?
You want to go? Go for it.
Yeah, I can go. It really all depends. Cosplay can be something that you purchase flat out from the store, or it can be something that you've sewn together or 3D modeled and printed. You could purchase the 3D print and build that. So it all can be it. I guess the big difference is Halloween costumes isn't cosplay. I guess that's the best way to put it. I would say that what you might have for Halloween might be of a cheaper quality that it might, you might not have it in that same. Let's see. When I look at
Choose
something
your
for
words
Halloween,
wisely, boy.
Okay.
I was about to say, Mike, I can feel the listeners dropping right now.
When I think of something for Halloween, I think of something that's very flexible. I might not. I might want something of a cheaper quality because I might rip it if I'm on a dance floor. I'm not as much invested in it versus if I'm doing a cosplay. Yes, you're still indulging your fandom, but I feel like it's perhaps a different setting, might be of a better quality than what you might wear for Halloween. In my perspective, I would wear something different. But that's just me.
So some of these things you have to preface with me, myself personally feel as though.
Yep.
There are various categories of cosplay. You have cosplay, you have your closet cosplay, where you can go into your closet and you can pick out clothes that could very well, be the character that you're looking for. You know what I mean? You got your lewd cosplay. You got your I guess now we have digital cosplay, where people are using a whole lot of Photoshop and AI to dress up as characters just on the internet only.
Right.
Yeah. So you've got different levels of cosplay, but at the end of the day, it's still cosplay. It's just costume play. Those are the two words put together. Now, I'm sitting here saying that, again, anybody can cosplay anything that they want to. So you can be a sexy cosplay. It can be anything. You just have to have the gusto, you know. I mean, not everybody, you're not going to fit every, character's like, body style. You're not going to fit everyone's like, height or whatever, like, but you do what makes you feel special, and then makes you feel powerful. Because as soon as you start letting those social norms dictate what you do, then you let the bullies win. All right. And we're not trying to let that happen anymore.
Nah. Okay, Hell's fine. I heard you, bruh. I heard you. But let me ask you another question then. Bro, I want to be Tony Stark. I don't want to be Iron Man. So if I show up to an event, I know I can't roll with Mike, but let's just say
Why
you let me
not?
roll with you, and I'm Tony Stark. Like I got the glasses. I might have did some shaving to to make the face look like it. Do you think that is still cosplay, or because I feel like that's a whole other character? I think that is a character. And Iron Man.
No. See, now you're starting to get into the nuance of just because you're black, can you be Tony Stark? Yes, you can be Tony Stark without the suit if that's what you want to be. The biggest thing about cosplay characters that is that you have to have some level of an iconic or immediately recognizable piece that lets people know that's who you are. You mentioned the glasses. If anything, if you're going to be in a suit, make sure it's a suit that he would wear, and and then also possibly like if you have like a access to a hand, like an Iron Man hand or something like that, that's enough to let people know that's who you are.
Wait, Hell's fine. Let me get in there. So I get the suit, not a cheap joint. I agree with you. I gotta look the part because this dude's got money on top of money on top of money. But how about I'm just rocking the suit, and then y'all can laugh at me. I'm not on y'all's level, but I got that Iron Man suitcase. Remember he puts the suitcase down. Boom. So I'm just carrying that. Is that enough?
That works. Yeah, see, thing is, you might be mistaken as either someone. Yep, you might be mistaken as either Iron Man or someone that's carrying the Tesseract. Like I got a briefcase here that they carry the Tesseract.
Or Happy Hogan.
Or Happy Hogan. There you go. See, that's why you had to go with something that's immediately recognizable for that character, so that it's not a mistake as to who you are. Like with him being Wolverine, he could have a wig that just has like the flare of the hair. He could still wear a tank top and a pair of jeans and some cowboy boots, and even have like, or just a cowboy hat. And he might have one claw. We know exactly who he is. You know what I mean? It's like putting together a cosplay is like putting together a fit. You just have to know what look you want to give off. Like if you're trying to do like a casual Spider-Man, one thing you could do is wear, a button-up white shirt with like some suspenders and like some dress slacks, and then have like the Spider-Man like muscle shirt underneath, as if you gotta like change later on because you're a photographer for the Daily Bugle. Like that's casual cosplay. That's simple, and people immediately know who you are.
So I know you're going to get a laugh out of this one since you did bring up Iron Man. It's actually something that I have in the works now. I'm working on an Iron Man suit. Now here's the drawback. I am 5'8". and I don't feel to be real with you, it doesn't matter what anyone says, I don't feel like Iron Man if I'm on the shorter side to make a suit. I want to have an imposing appearance, like a presence to me. So right now I've been trying my best to design it so it doesn't look like this is gaming came on Anthem where they had like the extra bent like knee. I don't want it to look like that, but I kind of want to give it the appearance where I'm at least about 6 foot, and it comes off proper. But I don't want to be a short Iron Man. I've been trying to like refrain from that as much as possible.
Wait, could we
Even
just
though
make you a
he was
Hulk
short
Buster?
Hmm?
Could we make you a Hulk Buster? That'll make
I
you
feel like
big.
that's too bulky. I want to be able to like move around.
I mean,
Okay.
just get the stilts, like, because you've seen those extreme costumes, like that
Hmm.
works. That could work for you. That's just a
Yeah.
lot of printing, bro. That's a lot of sanding
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm prepping for it.
Yeah. I mean, see, and those mental blocks are what people have as to whether or not
Yeah.
they should cosplay that character or not. But what's funny is that there are characters out there that are pedophiles or that are murderers and they're rapists, and people have no problem whatsoever cosplaying those characters. Like it's
Oh
crazy to
yeah.
me what stops people from cosplaying and what doesn't stop people from cosplaying characters. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's who you want to be. Okay.
No, I didn't even think about that. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, like you got Deathstroke and you got the Joker. A lot of DC villains have done some heinous shit, when you think about it. And there's a whole crop of people who love cosplaying those characters. Of
We
course,
got a
besides white men.
Comic-Con coming here to Austin. I'm in Austin, Hellspawn, if you didn't know, Austin, Texas. And I know I got this Yoda, this life-size Yoda behind me. Mike, I don't think you ever saw that.
Oh
But
no, I know of it. Yeah, I've seen
but
it
I
before.
am more interested. Darth Maul is my guy. Like that's my favorite character. And hey, I'm okay with being a bad guy. Not the rapist that I know of, but I'm still working my way through gaining all the knowledge on him. But yeah, that's where I would want to go. And he's my guy. I, we are at the end, fellas. I didn't even get everything, but that's great because I would love to have you all back. I'd like to live stream this because there's more I'd like to get into. So I'd like to ask one last question before we go. Are there things that you kind of have to do as a person of cosplay when when people look at your resume and they'll be like, "Oh, you ain't did that yet"? So I'm just kind of curious. I'd like to ask you, Hellspawn, is there something that you think you should have already have been done, but you haven't because I don't know, whatever reason you haven't? I'm just kind of curious.
No.
That's the two questions. Is there something everyone or to attend also something you should be or something you should have attended? And then if it is, what is it for you, Hellspawn?
Okay, so to answer the first question, there are genres you have to do. Okay, that's what you have to. You have to
I was
do.
wondering.
You got to do something from Marvel. You got to do something from DC. You got to do something from anime. You got to have because this builds out your selection. So when you choose the next convention that you go to, it just might happen to be a anime specific convention, or it might be a comic book specific convention. You have a fit for it. It's just like going to your closet and picking out the right uniform or the right dress or the right suit for an occasion, right? So I would go if I was to go to like Otaku Fest or Otakon or even like Katsucon or something like that. Those are strictly cosplay and anime conventions. So I would pull out something from Bleach or I would pull out something from like Dragon Ball. Whereas if I was to go to AwesomeCon, that is a comic book specific convention. So I would pull out something from a video game, or Marvel or DC or something like that. So that's what you kind of have to do. You eventually you'll end up with like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter, or you'll end up with like a, all those or Marvel. You need a Marvel or DC cosplay. You kind of do. The cosplays I shy away from because they're inherently expected of me. Number one is Bishop. I don't know why motherfuckers always want me to cosplay as Bishop. I don't understand it. I can't be Cyclops because I'm black. I hate that. You know, people have asked me if I was freaking Geordie LaForge because I had a visor on my head. I'm like, do you see a Starfleet? Like, I got a big ass X on my shirt, and you asking me if I'm a Starfleet officer. Like, get the fuck out of my face. So yeah, like, no, that's where I'm talking about. That's what you need. Like,
For me, I've just been kind of just doing my own thing. If it speaks to me, I'll do it. I have like a list in my head of what I would like to do. There is some that I stay away from. Usually, I get A Train a lot. That's what people always say. Oh, you should do A Train from yeah. And
the
I'm like,
boys.
I'm not touching the character. Yeah, the boys. Um, and that's cool for people who do A Train. It's just not anything that resonates with me.
You see how it's an inherently black character, so therefore he has to do that.
Yeah.
That
So
that's what that is.
so for
That's what
me,
that shit
I've been just whatever I can get to that fits my wheelhouse. So right now, I started with here's a good one. I started with Captain America. I love Captain America, but I did not like how the helmet fit me. Um, so I started to like lean more in with my blackness with the character. I want my face to be shown. What does it mean for a black man to be Captain America? I took it a step further when I bought my other suit, and yeah, they talk about a lot when it comes to Falcon and Winter Soldier. What does it mean for him to have the shield? For my character, I went with a all like it's basically all black except for the middle where it's red, white, and blue and has a star, and it kind of represents black in America. And I still played up my hair a little bit more. I wanted to
Ooh, I
give my
like
hair a more of a Wakanda design. I went with the necklace. I wore 10-pound vibranium shields to New York Comic Con, and it was a disaster. But from then, I switched it again. I went with a full Black Panther helmet. I went with the claws. I went with the traditional shield, and that's how I evolved my character into something that I appreciate and what I enjoyed. And I wanted to just take these two iconic characters and merge them into one. So for me, it was like, what? How does these characters speak to me, and how can I make something unique? And that's just something I just debuted at the last two events that I've had this year. Um, so yeah, still working on a few other ones. Still need to do some more anime, but if it speaks to me, I'll work on it and try to fit it in.
And see, that's the thing. When it comes to our flavor, our gait, the way we move, we incorporate what means something truly to us in our cosplays. My Cyclops is, people think that it's an X-Force Cyclops when it's really a Black Lives Matter Cyclops. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be some level of hidden like, meaning to what we do, and it just makes you want to do those characters in a better way, or just in a more meaningful way for you, because if you're spending your time, money, and energy on this, then it has to be on that kind of level of importance.
Yeah, gentlemen, this was awesome. It went quick, but when that happens, I just chalk it up to the game. That just means how much fun I was having, and the time flew. How can the listeners follow you guys? How can they check? I know there's some people that can't wait to start getting some of these pictures. I made them wait to the end unless they stopped, paused. They had to go check y'all out. But how can they do it now if they were just true to this and they listened all the way through? What are some handles y'all could offer us?
Go ahead.
Oh, well,
go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I mean, well, my main one is my Instagram, Mike Dastardly 87. I post on there quite often. A little bit of fitness, a lot of cosplay, a little bit in between. You can usually find me there.
Okay.
So also you can find Mike on several Screen Rant articles, because this man's a hustler. he gonna get noticed by Screen Rant. So, like, make sure you're paying attention to that, please, folks. Me personally, I can be found at on Instagram at hellspawned_cosplay or TikTok at hellspawned. Blurred and Powerful has its own Instagram account, which is blurred.and.powerful. And you can also go to blurredandpowerful.com for not only, a selection of Blurred and Powerful apparel, but also we're until the end of March, we're selling an image that was created by a black woman, a black woman artist for the celebration of women during the month of March. So, we're doing that for that promotion this month, and also the list of black-owned conventions within the country. It can be found on blurredandpowerful.com. So there's 31 now, where just a few weeks ago we had 27. So more people are starting to get their stuff together and be able to give us a website to link to. And we're growing as a community, but they still need support. They still need people to actually go to the conventions and pay for badges and help them, do the good things that black-owned conventions can do.
Yeah. Thanks again, guys. I look forward to us working together again. I think there's so much more that we got to cover, and I'm going to leave a little bit of that meat on the bone. Thanks for your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.